Welcome to the mid-season wrap-up for Pioneer League Baseball here at Birdwatching. I'm AJ Mazzolini of the Missoulian newspaper. The first half of the season came to an end just a couple days ago, and the Missoula Osprey were quite happy to see it go. The O's finished 7 games back of first place Helena up at the top of the Pioneer League's North Division, and finished with a 16-22 record. But just like that, everybody is back to 0-0 as we head to the second half of the season. The Osprey ranked toward the bottom in quite a few offensive categories, really most of them across the board as a team compared to the other squads in the Pioneer League. That included a couple of last place finishes in categories like home runs hit and most strikeouts. That's definitely not what the Osprey were looking at when they were coming into the season. A very hyped offensive team. On the pitching side of things, the O's were a little bit more middle of the road. They were 4th in ERA, 4th in runs allowed, and 5th in team total strikeouts. So with what the pitching has been able to do, if that offense can get up to a little more consistent middle of the road sort of hitting, the O's can put a few more wins on the board in the second half. And consistency is really going to be the biggest key for success in the second half for Missoula. It definitely wasn't there in the first half. The one day the hitting would be there and then the pitching wouldn't, and vice versa the next day. And that led to a lot of losing, a couple big losing streaks, including 5 games in a row at one point in July for the longest losing skid of the season for the Osprey. And that was part of a 9 of 11 lost overall sort of nasty stretch to put them out of contention for the first half playoff spot. Speaking of the struggles with consistency, we saw that a little bit right there at the end of the first half, where on Monday the Osprey beat the Helena Brewers 13-4 in their biggest offensive showing of the season, and that came after a couple games scoring much less runs than that, and a couple losses obviously together with that. That game against the Helena Brewers on Monday, Jose Caliz had a 3-for-6 hitting day, and that's at the end of a pretty nice little stretch for him that has actually lifted the backup catcher to the top hitting spot for the team with the highest overall batting average. And that's made a couple tricky decisions for the managerial team for the Osprey, because Caliz is the backup catcher, as I said, but to keep both his bat and striker Trahan in the lineup at the same time, the highly touted first overall or first round draft pick from the Arizona Diamondbacks last year. To keep both those guys in the lineup, Caliz had to do a lot of designated hitting, and so a lot of his at-bats have been taken from the designated hitter spot without doing any catching at all. Blaine Weller won that game, that 13-4 game, for his second win of the week last week, and that's boosted him up to 3-4 overall in the season after a pretty nasty losing skid on his own. Tonight is Wednesday, and that opens up the second half schedule for all the teams in the Pioneer League, and Missoula will be playing those same Helena Brewers that they've seen quite a bit of so far this season, playing them at home for 3 games right now. This is the 9th meeting between the teams already, and each side has 4 wins apiece in that little rivalry. The O's will have another 4-game set at home against the Billings Mustangs immediately following that before heading out on the road to continue second half play. Check back every week for more bird watching here online and our weekly features in Thursday's paper. This week was on Daniel Palka, first baseman for the Osprey, who won a weekly award for the top batter. He's having quite a nice little stretch, and last week had 3 games in a row with home runs, which is part of just a really nice overall offensive performance for Palka that week, in which he was hitting well over 500. We're going to be skipping our weekly feature next week with quite a few things going on here in Missoula, including the beginning of Grizz football practice and the state amateur golf tournament, and also a little bit of rodeo. So not enough room in the paper on Thursday to get any weekly feature in this week, but we'll be back the following week with our print edition to go along with our videos every week. Check at Missoulian.com for our weekly update. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.